company. Welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe, and tonight we have Mike Rust hosting our worldwide story round. But before that, answering all sorts of obscure questions concerning our festival in January 2027, we have none other than our patron and General Dog's Body, Mike Wood. Mike, would you care to take questions straight away, or do a little introductory thingamajiggy? What's it?
Thank you, John, for that introducing me in inimitable style. What I'd like to do is allow a couple of people to say a few words. I think so. First of all, Lucy, then Zuhair is going to join us if he hasn't already. Then I thought I'd give John a chance to speak. I'm not sure if Sally will join, who's a newcomer. And then I've got a couple of things to say before I take questions. So without more ado, Lucy, would you like to kick off?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm very excited. Good to see people here. I hope those people who haven't managed to get in, who are actually listening to Keith right now, the replay of Keith, I hope they work out how to get in by pressing the join the group button. So we are really very excited to be having the next International Storytelling Festival in Marrakesh in 2027 in January. And I think by now people know the dates, the 16th till the 23rd of January. And we all know that there are likely to be things happening before and also afterwards. So we know Marrakesh is not just a city. It's much more than that. It's almost like a living stage for our storytellers and for our listeners. And my feeling is we're not just gathering for people to perform, which is great in itself, but also it's like sometimes Maria Gillan talks about weaving. It's like we're weaving a tapestry of shared humanity and deepening our relationship with each other and with our audience and with children visiting schools, and really hopefully with our theme that's not quite fixed yet, but our theme that's going to be something to do with todetherness, love, courage, connection. We're hoping that will make this year even more inspirational and joyful than the year before last festival. So I think one of the things that I'm feeling is I want people to understand that this is a work in progress. It's like we're building a ship as we sail it, but the thing is we're building it with a sense of like deep love and respect for one another and for what we're all doing. So my feeling is that, as in previous years, everybody will be working hard together to try and make things wonderful for our storytelling group, but also for our audiences and the children, and also perhaps even more significantly for the world beyond our little world, that we're going to be using social media and the mainstream media to really spread our stories, to spread our message, so that we can, I mean, particularly in these troubled times with wars going on and, you know, disconnection between different groups, even within the same country, with people feeling a lot of stress and malcontent. I think it's really important that we could play a massive role. And I don't want to be grandiose about it, but anyone who was there the year before last knows that we created something absolutely wonderful. There was a spirit that spread beyond us. And nobody, I don't think, is quite sure how that happened, this Baja. It somehow did spread magically and very powerfully. And I think if we can do that in January 2027, even more powerfully, with even more heart, even more connection, not just with our group, but with the whole world, maybe, just maybe, a little drop of that might make a difference to the world situation. Who knows? Love is a very powerful thing. And I don't mean in a sort of romantic or a wishy-washy way. I just mean if we are able to open our hearts as storytellers do, we're really showing our vulnerability when you're on the stage, when you're connecting with people. That vulnerability that you have on the stage, or when you're working with children, that is really powerful. So from vulnerability grows connection and trust and love. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. So today is really just about questions and answers. And, I'd like to inspire people, or encourage people really, to, if you've got some ideas about the festival, we may not be able to do them. We don't have a budget. So we may not be able to do these things. But if you have an idea, then don't just sit on it, throw it out, throw it up to our group, and let's see if between us we can make some incredible things. And I think that we can. And I better stop talking now, because I can go on forever. Zip.
Okay,
Right,
thank
so
you. Can I?
Yeah.
I'm going to chair this bit if you don't mind, Mike. So, is Zuhair with us?
Not
Zuhair?
yet.
Okay, fine. I'm conscious that our Moroccan friends will be breaking their fast before long, so it may be that Zuhair will be with us on Saturday when we do our second session, which is oriented at other time zones. John, did you want to say a word or two?
Where am I? Oh, there. Yes. Well, pretty well. No. Everyone will get a chance to tell, even if they're not, even if we're not giving them room, even if they're not programmed. We're trying to get as many people from different countries this year, which is kind of important. But that doesn't mean a few extra English or Irish ones or Americans are not going to happen. And just make sure everything goes through. I think if you're emailing, CC me personally, Sally, and Mike, I think, is probably the answer. And then nothing falls down a hole. Any suggestions for people comes through, and we'll send out invitations to. But Mike will clarify that. And I'm just very excited. I'm already getting loads of suggestions from loads of people, and I'll probably have enough suggestions to do a 6-week festival at the end of all this. But yeah, but I think the difference next year will be that we'll use the square differently, and Mike will talk about that a little, which will give people a chance to sort of do themed shows and stuff, or but all the programming, we'll see what we've got when all the suggestions come in, and then the programming will happen then. Mike, I'm going to give it to you, because there's more practical things, and I'm doing the practical stuff down the line. You're doing the practical stuff now.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So again, let me give Zuhair an opportunity if he's with us. It's very important that we emphasize that this is a joint venture. And I think one of the strengths of our festival is our very, very deep local roots. So our World Storytelling Cafe, which is physically in Marrakesh, but it's very much a global community, does this in partnership with the Zuhair and Brahim and his fantastic team at the Storytellers Union. So in Zuhair's absence, let me at least just give him a big shout out. I don't want to repeat too much what I put in the message. It was obviously quite considered what we shared. A lot of your potential questions might be answered there. We will be announcing the dates 16th to 23rd of January publicly shortly, so that our listeners know where they're coming. What I want to emphasize really on my side, which is very much the practical side, is that those of you who've been before will know that our festival runs very much on goodwill, really. We don't have a big budget. We're run by volunteers or people who have other sort of day jobs, really. And we're very grateful for the patience and the sort of tolerance that our tellers have, as everyone else does, really, as we put it together. So we have gradually smoothed out wrinkles. We're trying to learn, from one edition to the next, but there is a sort of chaos to it and a sort of amateurism to it that we don't apologize for, really. It's in our DNA, and it's one of the things that makes it great. So the core of what we do really is donations from our accommodation, who give rooms, from our tellers, who obviously give very generously of your time, from our venues, and then we around that core, we pull together dinners, and we pull together catering, and we pull together other events, which frankly at this stage we don't have firm promises of right now for this festival. So whilst I'm very optimistic, confident even that it will be even better than last time, I can't say that it's all signed up. So we will be working on those things in the background, and ask you to be tolerant with us. And I know that there is huge enthusiasm across the city, really. So very confident that things will come together there. Would you like me to run through the main things I put in the note, or should we go straight on to questions?
I think run through the main things you put on the notes, Mike, so there's no confusion.
Okay, that's fine. So our theme is not yet finalized. Our working title is Baja, where stories of kindness, love, and courage connect our world, as Lucy was alluding to. So the festival is run by volunteers. We're welcoming Sally. Is Sally with us? Not to worry, that's fine. So we've got Sally as a volunteer who is very much part of the community around the British Embassy in Rabat. Her husband's a senior diplomat, and she's already been hugely generous in donating her time to help us with organisation, and she will be your main contact point for emails, and during the festival should be with us looking after artist liaison. So welcome to Sally in her absence. Accommodation was the next heading. So invited tellers will receive a core of 7 nights of accommodation. So that's arriving on Saturday, the 16th of January, and departing on Saturday, the 23rd. And at this stage, we are able to guarantee our invited tellers bed and obviously breakfast. At the moment, we're saying shared rooms for invited tellers. We may be able to do better later, but right now, Lucy and I have 30 rooms in our riad, so on a shared bed basis, we know that we can accommodate 60 tellers. So let's make that a starting point and work out from there. In terms of meals, we're planning to do a welcome dinner on the evening of Saturday the 16th. Please try to make your travel plans in such a way that you can be with us for an evening meal on Saturday the 16th. And a closing dinner, which will be on Friday the 22nd. And between those two dinners, we expect to use a token system similar to what we did at the last festival, which worked very well, I think, with a number of nominated cafes where you can use them. The next heading then is media. We have an incredible media reach. We've had more than, if you sum the circulation of and the viewership and readership of the media coverage we've had from previous festivals, more than 1.2 billion people have seen our festival, and that's without counting social media. So it's a very big part of the festival. Our big media day will be Sunday. So we're going to do an open ceremony and press conference on Sunday afternoon. We will do our very colourful procession to the square on Sunday afternoon, and which is one of the highlights of the festival, as you know, and gets big media coverage. One of the benefits of doing it on Sunday is that we believe it's better in terms of attracting media. And the other benefit is that we get 5 clear days to go at the schools. So Monday to Friday, we don't have on Monday the big distraction of our opening. We can crack on with our schools program, which is obviously massive. We will be processing down to the tent in the square. The tent is going to be a very important venue this time without the constraints of Guinness. So much as we enjoyed Guinness and we are proud of our collective achievement there, we're excited about using the tent possibly as much as 24 hours again, but without the constraints of all the Guinness rules. So when we talk about shows and so on, the tent will be one of the main venues for shows. And budget allowing, we're planning to set up a media studio there. So that means that we might have interest from the BBC, for example, but they're not going to send a film crew. There might be interest from your local media in the States or in Australia or in Switzerland, but they're most unlikely to send a film crew. But if we have a studio set up so that our tellers we can offer live or recorded for later use interviews with radio and television and podcasts and so on, we're going to make an investment in that studio, finances permitting, which would connect us to that global media. So we're asking you to think about any media contacts that you might have, and so that we can start the process of letting those media outlets know, particularly those who would use it live. So things like, drive time radio shows in the morning as people go to work, or afternoon chat shows which have live guests and so on. So let us know if you've got those sorts of contacts. School workshops, just the scale of what we do there. So our third edition, we did 254 workshops. We reached more than 5,000 children, and the energy and the buzz in the tent as people came back from those workshops was just incredible. And to have over the years, we've had some really very, very experienced tellers who've said to us that this is one of the most inspiring and one of the most rewarding things that they've ever done, really. So our outreach in terms of and these are almost all of them. We have 1 or 2 private schools that fund us, but most of these are state schools, and many of them have very little arts input. So we're very, very proud of that. Most of our tellers will be scheduled for 2 workshops. So they happen in the morning. So between Monday and Friday, most of you will be timetabled for 2 mornings. If you would prefer to do less, or if you prefer to do more, then please let us know by email to Sally so that we can build that into our planning. Then the next thing to talk about is masterclasses. So a masterclass in our language is a practical session where experienced tellers will help others to deepen their practice. Other people might call them workshops. We're not calling them workshops because that would be confusing for us, because we're calling our school sessions workshops. So those are masterclasses. We've had some wonderful masterclasses in the past, and please do approach us if you would like to offer a masterclass. Let us know what the topic would be. Then the next thing is group shows. We're going to have a lot more room for group shows. So things like our Irish American session, or the amazing Canadian flying canoe, or whatever. And particularly with the Square as a venue, and with Les Étoiles de Jamalfna as a prestigious and venue with a big audience capacity, we're very open to those shows, and that's going to be very exciting. As always, John, as our curator, will be the key person in stitching those together. So the next thing is to just mention pre and post festival. With last time we had 106 storytellers. Of course, some of you arrived early, some of you left late. So we will put on pre and post festival events and story rounds at the cafe. And just in practical terms, the core of 7 nights is provided. If we can offer more accommodation, we will. But let's say that the base case is that we're expecting that the tellers will pay for their extra nights. Right now, if you let us know what nights you're going to be there, we'll keep a log. And when we know there's no need to. Marrakesh is not going to run out of accommodation for that time of year next year. So don't feel that you have to make accommodation plans for your extra nights. Let us know what your extra nights are, and in due course, we will let you know some options at different price levels. And the advantage of that will be, one, you'll probably get a better price. Two, you'll be with other tellers if you choose to book the same place, whereas booking blind, you wouldn't be able to do that. And thirdly, it may be that we can help, particularly those of you who are going to be leading things in the build up and the wind down. It may be we can help some of you with accommodation. So the best thing to do for the time being is to go ahead and book your flights and share your dates with us, and then we'll take it from there together as it becomes clearer the shape that the festival is going to take. So what's next? Invitations. So those of you who have been to a prior festival are very much invited. In terms of our online World Storytelling Cafe community, if you've done one of our if you've done one of our Friday evening slots with Louis and our regular listeners, then you're absolutely 100% invited. If you're not in that category, or one of those categories, then please speak to John and he'll clarify. But we're very keen to welcome as many of you as we practically can. And also, please do consider letting John know if you have other tellers that you'd like to invite who you feel will extend our festival and contribute to our festival. And we like to say, yes, we like to be accommodating, subject obviously to natural constraints. Right. So far, I don't think we've said no yet, have we, John?
Apart from Mike Rust, I don't want Mike Rust at the festival or Bubba Steve.
I think that Baden character's a bit suspect as well, isn't he? Okay.
Right, so I'll get hold of Baden and Baba, and we're going to start a new festival in Marrakesh. Okay.
On
the same week as ours.
I'll be delighted to come along as a listener. That sounds very good. Okay. So, yeah, one final point is story listeners. Please do spread the word. You know, we had quite a good core of story listeners last time, and we tried to invite them all to the closing dinner and to make them feel involved and so on. So, yeah, when the dates are out there, please do spread the word as you travel around, and let's encourage as many listeners and media and to create as much of a buzz as we can, really. So,
can I just add one little thing?
Yeah.
Even if you're not coming to the whole festival or you're not invited, there will be open mics. So anyone who happens to be passing through as part of the festival, there'll be an opportunity for them to tell, because there'll be enough story rounds going on for them to join in.
Okay, very good, very good. So can I? How are we going to do this? We're moving on to the. Well, let me just double check that Zuhair is not with me, because I do want to give him every opportunity to speak if he's with us. Okay, and if I can double check that Sally is not with us. No, I don't think so. Okay, so I think at this point we move on to questions, and I don't know how. Should I just invite? We haven't got so many people in the room that I can't invite you one by one, actually. So, Mike Rust, did you have any questions?
No, not particularly. I seem to. I'm up to date. I saw John this morning who answered some questions. I have one suggestion for Lucy. Sim Gilliatt, who's our creative director from Get a Word in Edgeways, wants the theme to the festival in October to be Light from the Darkness. She asked me to tell you that. She thinks it's a lovely idea, and we're probably going for that. So, and that's just a suggestion for the theme of the thing. So it seems I think we're pretty certain to go on that ourselves. So.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, light was one of those words that we were throwing around. It's really nice. Yeah. And I've just realized in the chat, I've said that you're keeping the cars in business, and I meant the bars.
I'll go with the cars. Don't worry about that. You haven't met Lynn yet. You'll get me told off. You will.
So there will be Guinness.
Not after the rugby this time, but that's a different story.
Okay.
So thank you, Mike. The only thing I would say is that we're quite proud at Get a Word in Edgeways on the amount of languages we use. And so last year we had 5 different languages across the festival, and we're still only a small festival. And so one of the things I'll be saying is that I like to do a session in French, but everybody's got their own personal preferences. So, and for tonight, we're now at past, and everybody's really keen to talk to you and Lucy. And so I'm going to pass it over to the next one.
Okay, that's very good. On the subject of languages, for those of you who've not been to the festival before or who are spreading the word, we do absolutely encourage. So we had storytelling within the Guinness World Record. We had storytelling in 19 languages, and we deal with that in a variety of ways. There's always some reference back to English, whether it's the essence translated either before or after, or some tellers prefer a more simultaneous translation, or we have some shows that are multilingual and wonderful tellers like Seth and Fiona who are able to tell almost in 2 languages at the same time. But yeah, so that's very much in our DNA, that multilingual telling. So can I invite Evita, because she's got her hand up, to ask her question?
Before I ask a question, Mike, I would like to remind you that when I was in Marrakesh for my residency, we met a lady. We went to Cafe Clock. We were invited to participate in that story rounds that night. There was a lady who had come all the way from the States to the Storytelling Festival that wasn't on this year. Remember? So
I
this
do.
is how famous. This is how famous we are. We now are, that we have people coming to Marrakesh to see us, even when we're not there. It was really lovely because she got to tag along with some of us, during the evening, and to some events and to some cafes, which was really nice. Now, to the questions, is there a letter for those who have connections to accommodation places in Marrakesh that you could send to us that we can then forward?
So in terms of being an invited teller at the festival, John, if you need an invitation for visa purposes or something, please contact John. What's the I'm not sure I understand the connection to accommodation.
I just know a couple of people now that do have accommodation, but I don't want to preempt. I want to use the right wording. Do you have an official, how you approach them, or shall I just
No. Well, mainly, to be honest with you, it's mainly my mates. So if you've got mates too, you approach them in your own way. I mean, generally, what the deal is, they get they give a room for the week. We have an accommodation list, so they would get listed on that. So any story listeners who are looking for accommodation, they know that these are places that there will be tellers and so on. But mainly, they're doing it as a favour for us.
Okay.
We do invite them to the dinner, to the closing dinner. A lot of them are too busy to come, but they get invited to that. And our tellers, as you know, love to tell. So telling for their guests or staff or whatever is a given. Really, we don't need to organise that.
Yeah.
So, but most of them do it to help. And please do, by all means. I'd love to have. I mean, we need accommodation at all levels, really.
Okay, and then speaking of letters, is there a generic letter for the media contacts we have, or do we just write our own? No, okay.
We're not approaching media yet because we're not 100% sure what we're offering. We don't have, for example,
Yeah.
the name.
Okay. No, but when it comes to it, all right.
What we are doing is building that list, so building those contacts, so that when we know whether we've got a studio, whether it's a TV studio or a radio studio or whatever, when all those things come together, we've started work in terms of how we leverage it, and also knowing what relationships our tellers have will inform what we what to invest in.
Thank you.
There's clarity there too. Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Evita. So Adam has got Adam, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I am Roisin. Adam is actually the Sunday name of my husband, and he was doing an NHS online thing, and we can't get rid of Adam, so I'm incognito as Adam. 2 things, please. One, given it's festival season in the UK, and I will be present and involved in more than one festival, is there anything downloadable that I could take along just to promote the Marrakesh Storytelling Festival?
Yes, so we will have a flyer that you can print off on any printer. You know, it'll work in black and white or in color, and it'll be aimed at story listeners. But something just to say that there's a festival going on.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me, you know, if I'm going to be at East Anglia and Fate and all the rest of it, it would be a missed opportunity not to go. By the way, in the deep winter, you could be in Marrakesh listening to even more stories.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's a really great suggestion. Yeah.
Right. The other one is a bit more personal and selfish. Some people know that last year, when I was invited to come along, my husband was in the middle of radiotherapy as the festival was on, and he insisted that I came. I didn't fight him for it, to be fair. I said thank you very much and went, but I did promise him that he'd come next time. Obviously, we pay for his accommodation. Is that going to be all right if the two of us turn up?
Yeah. So what we've done previously is, if we're dealing with a big hotel, they won't mind. You know. Yeah. If it's a small, you know, like a small family business, you know, Riyadh with 4 or 5 bedrooms, and they've given us, you know, a quarter of their inventory for the week, then what we offer to do is to pay a supplement. So something like what you would pay for an extra bed kind of thing. So, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 quid a night to pay for the breakfast or something as a gesture, because they were giving the room for a teller. And if we're...
That's absolutely fair enough. I have emailed Sally to say that I am very happy to do more workshops. I am a storyteller, but I actually started off being a workshop leader. So I've got some ideas which I will pass on to you and John.
Brilliant. Well, you'll be happy to hear that that I'm not the curator of the festival. I don't know what it would look like if it was somebody like me who was doing it. But there is a role for people like me too. So fantastic. Is that does that answer all your questions at the moment? Brilliant. Okay. So Despina, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a kind of irrelevant question just out of curiosity. I know this is a storytelling festival, but I know it includes more arts. I know we've had some music before. So my question is, could we have some, if there is room, of course, room enough, could we have some musician friends invited?
So at this stage, I don't think I can offer you accommodation for musicians. I think we could accommodate them within the program, but you know, possibly at a later stage we could. But right now, we had 106 storytellers last year, and I think in the natural course of things, it will grow quite considerably. So until I'm confident that I've got all of my spoken word artists accommodated, I don't think I can offer a room for a week to a musician.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Anything else before we move on?
Jill wanted to say something.
Jill?
Yes, thank you.
I think you're muted, Jill.
There we are. 2 things, Iverson. One is that last year, 2 years ago, time flies, it was amazing to have so many young people involved as translators. And actually, I feel like it's one place where some really beautiful relationships happen for me. And I'm sure I know for many other tellers, if not all of us. Anyway, is that happening this time around? As far as you know?
Yes. Yeah. So we have
really...
that happens in several ways. First of all, the Storytellers Union, led by Zuhair, has a storytelling school, and our that body of young people provides tellers and also a lot of our sort of volunteers who help with the admin. We have in our first and second editions of the festival, but not the third, we had a partnership with the Arabic language department at the university. We couldn't get them for the third festival with something else they were doing, but they were wonderful translators. And we've had some of them of the growth that some of those have, and the interest it sparked in storytelling is amazing. So Omar Belaraj, who came to the second edition of the festival as a helper, became a storyteller and actually did a year for us as a resident storyteller. So the growth that those young people have experienced has been great. And then the other community that helps us a lot is Henna Cafe. So Henna Cafe, the Henna Cafe community has supplied us with supporters for some of our tellers who who need a bit more help with logistics and so on. So there is no plan for any less of that. And obviously, the other engagement we have with young people is the schools program, and the knock on from that is that we do get storytellers. We get kids who've seen storytellers in the schools then coming to the square with their parents and so on. So there's a sort of big synergy there.
It's reciprocal. Yeah.
Okay,
And also I wanted, one is an idea that just came to me that's short, and the other is a question. So the other question was, if I have an idea for a workshop, sort of coming out of a project I'm doing in the States, about collecting oral stories about water, memories of water. And I wanted to do that workshop, possibly with someone, a colleague who was also at last year's festival, who's actually Moroccan. Is there room to do that in the schools? And would I approach Sally about that, or?
Yeah, so what we do in the schools is a bit more. So yes, probably a bit too. This is probably not the place to give you a long.
Yeah, I just want to float it, or even on the square, maybe. I don't know.
So approach us with it, and the team will decide where its natural home is. But that's 100% welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
And the last thing that just occurred to me as you were speaking, Mike, and I was thinking in my mind about the schools programs, which were so heartfelt, meaningful to me. It was there were a couple, I don't know if this is appropriate, but there were a couple of teachers who seemed really interested in learning more about storytelling.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's a possibility to do after school workshops at all with them, or
So the way that we access the schools is we have a partnership with it's pity Zuhair's not here to speak to this, because he puts an enormous of effort into it. But in his absence, I will talk about it. But please don't be under the impression it's me who does all of these things. So we have a fantastic partnership with the education department, but we go in through the English language teachers, and we go to the English language teachers in the Marrakesh region. From time to time have training days and so on. We are involved in lots of those sessions pre-festival, and so the teachers, to varying degrees, will incorporate the storytelling festival within their activity. And some of these schools have actually storytelling clubs, and it is one of our goals, shared goals with the English language department, that there should be more of them in the future. And one of our permanent cafe is a resource to them, and our visiting tellers are a resource to those storytelling clubs as well. So Evita will tell you we had a lot of to and fro before Ramadan trying to get her into a school that has a storytelling club. So all of those things are very much in our mind. But I won't spend. The trouble with all these questions is I could give you 10 minutes on each of them.
No, well, thank you I know I asked a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for widening my understanding.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So now, coming up next on my screen is the inimitable Babati Babatsi. If I can invite you to ask any questions.
Yes, but you might regret asking that. No, mine's a more personal thing. Mike, you've always been a wonderful host. I enjoy myself. I tell everybody Marrakesh is my second home. My concern is that last festival, there was a glitch concerning my diet. And I wound up eating way too much yogurt and bread. I'm vegetarian. I'll eat seafood. I just want to make sure that the glitch doesn't happen this time around.
Okay. Well, can you? I'd say flag that to Sally.
Okay.
And then we will, and speak up early, and I'll say that to anybody who is in need of support, because we are, we run on, we're kind of we run on goodwill and we do our best. We have limited resources, but if we're not providing something, then do let us know. Maybe the answer will be we're doing our best. We can't, but at least let us know.
Now, I
So
think
thanks
it
for
just
bringing
may
that
have been a communication glitch. I'm not sure. I want to end on a very positive note. First of all, you being involved in the festival is a highlight of my life. Okay? The other thing is that I like challenges, and one of the places they sent me, the kids spoke absolutely no English. None! But the other storyteller I was paired with spoke their language. However, I was blessed because Anas and, oh my goodness, I forgot the gentleman's name who was in charge of my transportation. They were wonderful translators, and we just seamlessly told the story. The kids even got some of my jokes. That's a big one. So it's a very positive effect, and I love it. And I'm already, I have my bags packed already, and my passport's in place, and I can't wait to get there. So I just want to end on a very positive note, because you, John Rowe, and a legion of people whose name. Oh, is Veronica going to be there this year?
Yes.
She's our stage manager.
Absolutely.
Give her a big, whatever she wants, she should get, because she made it possible. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I'm going to be quiet now.
Well, we very much hope to welcome Veronica to Marrakesh before the festival, but yeah, 100%. She's invited. So, Keith in Wolverhampton, did you have any questions?
I can't see him, actually. I think he's gone.
Okay, not to worry.
He was saying he had to leave early today.
We can come back. We can come back to Keith if
His square is still there.
Yeah, not to worry. That's okay. Jim in New York, great to have you with us. Any questions, Jim?
Oh, no questions. And I'll echo Baba. See, life-changing opportunity. Can't wait to be back. I'll be bringing ideas. I'll be sending ideas for master classes and so forth, and a couple people. Thank you very much.
Well, what you and Baba see both make such a huge contribution. That's something you also have in common. So thank you so much, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to pass over Ahmad because I know he'll be breaking his fast. Rosine has spoken. Paul Davis, did you have any questions?
Hi, yeah, hello from Cumbria. Yeah, I just echo all that. It was life-changing for me. I've been doing lots of storytelling since, I've been with Taffy today. I've told Taffy and Chrissy they're very excited, and all being well, want to be there. And if they're going, I want to be there. I'll be with them too. He practically brings me as his personal physician, even though I've been struck. No, I've not been struck off. No, but and I would love to come, whether it's as an invitee or not. I don't know whether I'm quite as esteemed as the rest of you. However, I'll be there in one way or another, by hook or by crook. And so, yes, the Taffy's very excited about it, to say that. And I think that's all for now. He's obviously didn't make it last time. He would have died had he done so, because of what happened to him late around that month. So it was a bit of a few, really. But I think I know he would want to be on the invitation list. He's got the dates, they're in the diary. And Chrissy's also excited, a little bit trepidation, but I've reassured her.
Fantastic.
And thank you.
Well, it would be great to have you with us, and Taffy as well, of course. But credit to John, actually, who was John who said to Taffy, wait for the next festival, and it's great that things have all worked out in the way they have. So
to be accurate, I told Chrissy. Chrissy was trying to dissuade him, and I said to Chrissy, "Well, tell him that John banned him."
Well, he's on very good form. We've been writing up his book, his latest book today. So yeah,
great.
Brilliant.
It's really good to hear that he's picking up a bit. So
That's
I'll
great.
be popping up to see him in the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So next name on my screen is Veronica. Are you with us, Veronica? Your ears will be burning.
Absolutely, and I'm very upset that Baba C thinks I'm just a stage organizer. What?
Oh no! I will give you credit. because you made it happen. If not for you, I don't think we would have made Guinness. And I wanted to give you your just due, my lady. Oh.
Oh, you know, it's all about the Vero C, not the Baba C, I'll tell you.
Okay. I think you should be working on the Vero rap for the festival.
I have the utmost respect for Veronica. I mean,
I've got none for you, Baba. Just say none.
But that's all right, because that's all right. As long as you do what you do when you do what you do, I'm content.
Look, the only respect I've got for you is that you and I can cut down Baden as much as we can.
Yes, yes, that's become a part-time job.
I know, it's great.
Right, I'd like to intervene here, if I may, for a moment. Sue from South Africa, can we? Do you understand what's happening here? I'm not quite sure you know what you know about the festival or anything else. So, could I introduce Sue from South Africa to Mike Wood and to Lucy? They run and John Rowe. They're the curators and everything for the big week-long storytelling in Marrakesh, which is what the other side of this. We're Get a Word Edgeways. They're the World Storytelling Cafe, and they just announced a date for their big festival next year. Is there anything you want to ask? I doubt. Just contact me personally if you're. I'll try to explain it a little bit more to you. But could you all wave to Sue, please? She's a wheelchair user. She lives in South Africa, and she comes to the story round. And she's a wonderful storyteller. Her knowledge of the Zulus and that part of the world is great. So thank you very much, Sue. Sorry. So who would be next, Mike? Sorry.
Michael Kerins. If Michael Kerins would like to say a word or ask a question.
I think he's on his phone.
Okay, not to worry, not to worry. Okay.
I see that fine storyteller Baden Prince, a really close colleague of mine, has turned up. So perhaps we're still in the Q&A, Baden, if you care to ask a few questions.
I don't want to kind of like interrupt proceedings, but could somebody provide me with a summary of everything that's happened prior to my arrival?
Yes, it'll be on catch up.
If that's okay.
Yeah, it'll be on catch up. That's it. End of message.
Sorry, I've had a rough day.
Bless you.
Hi, everybody.
Ruffy, all you need to know, Baden, is that despite everything I said, you are invited and you will be accommodated. There'll be a cot in the street, and and we'll feed you the scraps.
Yes,
and you will be allowed to tell stories.
Yeah, but what they haven't told you, Baden, is you have to share a room with Baba C.
And could I just remind everybody, especially John Rowe and Mike Rust, but also Veronica, of the theme of our festival.
Okay, Baden.
Kindness, love,
to be nice.
not bullying. Our theme is not bullying. Okay, not bullying.
Baden.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you.
In all seriousness.
I've just about had enough of this.
You know I love Baden like the brother I never wanted. So it's true.
Yeah, and I have heard Baden being quite a good bully also.
Well, yes.
It's true.
In all seriousness, there's very little been done said that you won't know already. You are kind of a veteran of the festival.
Don't worry. I'll catch up.
And you and I will talk.
Yeah.
So there's nothing spectacularly.
I think the only thing that was new is that we're going to produce a flyer which will circulate that people can print and take to festivals with them to spread the word. If you to have something, and also something that will be readily shareable on WhatsApp or email or something, just a little poster, which is more aimed at listeners than tellers, just so that we can all work together to promote the festival. But I don't think there was anything else said that it was new as such.
Lovely.
Okay.
Except for Baden may not know that Sue is the point of contact for most of what's going to be going on.
Or Sally. Sally.
No, Sally.
Or Sally, yes.
Yeah, don't send it to South Africa, whatever you do.
Okay. Can I?
I got it mixed up. My bad.
Right. I've almost finished my attempt to try and chair this session. Can I invite Ahmad? Would Ahmad like to say a word, or are you breaking your fast?
No, he's broken for his fast. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So I think Lucy, shall I offer you a chance to say a final word before we hand back to Mike Rust?
I think Dawn wants to say something. Dawn wants to say something.
Yeah.
Mike, hi, it's Michael Cairns here. I'm driving to a gig which starts tomorrow morning, but I have to go and get a train and a boat and stay overnight and all this kind of stuff. So I couldn't speak when you were asking me to contribute. I didn't really have anything to say anyway. I just wanted to let you know that I wasn't sleeping while I was driving, or that I wasn't ignoring you.
No problem. Welcome.
Thank you. All the best, guys.
Michael.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
How do you feel about yesterday's rugby result?
Oh, shut up!
I think for a tiny nation of 200 people, we did very well. How do you feel about the French?
Shall I remind everybody?
Silence.
That's the love coming through, Lucy.
I'm an honorary Irishman.
Would like to say something.
Right, I'm gonna. Honestly,
So,
you are impossible.
Dawn, is Dawn there?
Dawn is there in the cafe, and he's desperately waving at us.
I'm not chatting while I'm driving. I'm switching my microphone off again. Bye, guys.
Thank
See
you,
you in Morocco.
Michael. Thank you for the very good example. Could I invite everybody, apart from Dawn, to switch their microphone off for a moment, and then she can have a chance to speak, and before we hand back. Dawn.
Thank you. It's like the Tower of Babel. It's absolutely brilliant coming in here, and you're all on big screen. I just wanted to say how excited I am, and I don't have any massive questions or difficulties, except to say that I will be staying here until the festival, just to make sure I get a place. I'm just going to be here in this chair, waiting for it all to start, and it can all happen around me, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Well, excuse me, Dawn. You are the head of the MC Spa Festival in October, so you have to be back in the UK for that. Okay.
Okay, great. So with that, I will allow Lucy a chance to say a final word. If you wanted to say something before we hand back to Mike for the story.
Yeah. So before we sign off, just like to say thank you very much for everybody, not just for being here today, but for all of the work that you do online here and out elsewhere all year round, not just once every 2 years. And just to remind you of that wonderful spirit of Baja, and hopefully we'll be able to recapture that for ourselves, for our festival, for everybody who's around, and spread that throughout the world. So when you come, hopefully you'll all come in January 2027. You're not just coming to perform. You're coming to help us protect and amplify that spirit of Baja. And especially now in a world that feels really fractured, you're the ones, we're all the ones who can mend our world. Just with one story, we can mend a broken connection. With one workshop, we can inspire people who then go out and inspire others. And with one shared meal together, we can create friendships that can spark further work, further connections, further stories, internationally. So just let's make this an amazing festival that's going to really change our world.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Mike, with that, we're going to thank you. We've unintentionally taken very nearly the first hour of your show. So Thank you for bearing with us, and thanks to those who came to tell and weren't expecting this session. So, and apologies, but could I ask those, apart from Mike Rust, there have been a lot of microphones on, so just let me invite you to mute so that Mike has a chance of running his program. Thanks a lot, everybody, and good night. We will be doing another session on Saturday morning, which is aimed at other time zones. And don't hesitate to email us questions at any time. Anyway, but I think we're the good ship. 4th edition is now well and truly launched. Thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to say, Mike, and to Lucy and to John, that we all understand how much hard work behind the scenes all these things take, bring it all together. And we also, all of us know, with the banter and the stuff, that none of this would happen without the three of you. And so thank you so much for making it all happen. And I just think you're making the world a better place. And sometimes it's a drip thing. Sometimes every little the more you put out, the more it comes back. And it just puts a good out everywhere. It's just going to make this, particularly as I look across the scene tonight. So thank you very much to the three of you. Right. So we've got an hour or so for those who wanted to come and tell stories. Keith from Lincolnshire was one of my regulars, came and he's disappeared. I don't know if you're listening still, Keith, or whatever. I do want to speak to Sue from South Africa just for a moment. If you put your microphone on, Sue.
Hi, Mike.
Hiya, Sue. How you doing? You must have had a fascinating hour.
No, it's not a problem. I've been following the storytelling festival, and it's a dream one day. But no, it wasn't wasted time.
Well, thank you very much. I think John Rowe and I will have a chat about seeing how on the list of invitations and see if we can sneak you on. Somewhere from South Africa is definitely not the British and Irish Isles. So thank you for being so patient tonight. I really do.
Okay, but it was just lovely to see everybody anyway. And like you say, John and them are doing so much good. You know, to me, the storytellers are the change makers. And anything that we can do from our side to support that, I think is worth doing.
Well, I heard that word, the change makers, back in the days of the darker times in South Africa. So thank you for saying that, and I know how much it means. Right. So we've got an hour or so, and I think I'm going to go for a storytelling round. I'm going to ask some of our people that tell stories on a regular basis to step up. John Rowe and I, perhaps we could step backwards tonight. So put your hand up if you want to tell a story. Dawn, you're in Marrakesh. You're going to have to do one. So can we start with Dawn? Then we go to Baba. Then we go to Rasheen, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'll write that down. Okay, so we're going to start with Dawn to tell a story from the World Storytelling Cafe, where I was sat, I think, a month ago, 4 weeks ago tonight. I was sat in exactly the same place. So we'll go to Dawn Ellis from Marrakesh.
Thank you. I'm going to tell one of my favorite stories from the streets of Marrakesh. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a story literally from the Medina, and it comes from, actually it was told me by somebody who owns a riad, a beautiful riad, a Moroccan who owns a riad. And he said, this is all because of my grandfather. And he said, my grandfather was a very, very poor man. And as a poor man, he used to spend his time in the streets of Medina with his hand out begging. And that was how he passed his time and hoped to get the odd coin so that he could buy some bread or some lubia. And one day, somebody touched his hand, and he looked up and he looked into the face of a kind young man with warm brown eyes. And this young man said, are you hungry, my friend? And Omar's grandfather said, oh, yes, sir, I am very hungry. I haven't had anything to eat today. Well, come with me, said the young man. I live round the corner. You can eat with me. We'll feast together. Well, Omar's grandfather couldn't believe his luck. And he followed the young man through the little alleyways of the Medina, down through the tunnels, until he came to one of those big wooden doors. and he opened the door, and the young man took him up to a room like this room here, with one table in it and 2 chairs. And the young man said, "Sit down," he said, "and I will ask my servants to bring the food in." And he clapped his hands, and then he watched through the air, and he said, "Yes, yes, please put it all down here." And Omar's grandfather saw that there was nothing there, and there was nobody bringing the food in. "Come," said Omar, said the young man, "tuck in. Look, we've got tagine. We've got, smell that delicious tagine." He said, "Look at the steam coming off that bread. It's straight out of the oven. Please make yourself at home." And Omar's grandfather looked at where the door was, and he said, "I need to get out of here. This is a madman." "No, I'm not going to let you go. We're going to eat together," said the young man. And he made as if to break off a piece of bread, and he made as if to dip it into some tagine. That was delicious. "Please help yourself." So Omar's grandfather said, "There's nothing for it but to help myself." So he too pretended to break off a piece of bread and pretended to dip it into a non-existent tub of sauce. "Oh," said Omar's grandfather. Yes, yes, that was very nice indeed. Thank you." And so for 20 minutes, they stayed there at this empty table, pretending to eat an imaginary feast. And at the end of 20 minutes, the young man sat back in his chair and he said, "Oh, I don't know about you," he said, "but I couldn't eat another thing. That was absolutely delicious. And didn't it taste even better than it smelt?" And Omar said, yes, it was very nice, sir. Thank you very much." Meanwhile, his stomach was grumbling and growling, and his stomach was flat against his backbone. And then he stood up and he said, "Thank you very much, sir. I'll be going now." "Oh, no, you mustn't go. Don't go," said the young man. "We haven't had our wine yet." Clapped his hands, and he watched through the air, and he said, "Yes, please, put the wine down here on the table." Nothing there. And then he went into the imaginary glasses, and he picked up his imaginary glass and he said to Omar's grandfather, "Your health, my friend. May you always prosper." And Omar's grandfather also, he picked up his imaginary glass and he downed the wine. And then Omar's grandfather said, "That wine is so good, sir. I hope you don't mind. Could you give me some more?" "My dear fellow," said the young man, "I'm sorry you even had to ask. Of course you can have some more." And he picked up the imaginary bottle and he poured some more wine into the imaginary glass. And Omar's grandfather, he picked up and he kept on filling, and he had 5 glasses of imaginary wine. And then Omar's grandfather, he stood up and he went round the table and he picked up the young man and threw him on the ground and began hitting him and kicking him. And the young man said, "Wait a minute, what are you doing that for? Why are you attacking me?" And Omar's grandfather said, "Well, sir, it's your own fault," he said. "I'm not used to wine and you gave me wine. In fact, you gave me a lot of wine and you made me drunk. That's the fact of the matter. And when I'm drunk, sir, I'm afraid I become violent." And he continued punching the young man. But instead of fighting back, the young man started laughing. And he laughed. He lay there on the ground saying, "Stop, stop. I can't breathe. You're making me laugh so much. Let me stand up and I'll explain it to you." Well, Omar's grandfather, he let the young man stand up and they sat down. And the young man said, "My dear friend," he said, "you are the first man. You're the first man who's played me at my own game. I've been playing this trick on people for months, and I have never met anyone with a brain like yours, a brain that can play the game and trick me and get the better of me." He said, "I want you to be my man of business. We're going to go into business together." "Oh, no," said Omar's grandfather, "you're not getting me again." Wait, let me prove it to you, said the young man. And he clapped his hands, and real servants came into the room, and real food was laid on the table. Ah, the smell of that tagine. Oh, actually, I could quite fancy some tagine myself. The smell of that tagine was so beautiful. And they began to eat. And in the course of the meal, Omar's grandfather began to trust the young man. And by the end of the meal, he was signing a contract to become his partner in business. And so they did go into business together, and they did make each other's fortunes. And that was how Omar's grandfather was able to buy the Riyadh. And that was the story that his grandson told me. And he said it was all because of one day in Marrakesh and an imaginary feast.
That's great, Dawn. That's lovely. That's really cool. I love that. Right, so we're going to go to Baba, and then we go to Rashid.
Don, you've put me in an awkward situation. I very seldom am shy about following another storyteller, but you have set the bar so high. But let me see what I can do. Thank you for that story. Thank you very much. Asante Sana. So I will dispense with my long time ago. However, this is a story I almost forgot that I knew, because it's a new story for me, but it's an old story. But anyhow, the relationship between people is very, very, very key, especially between husbands and wives. And it is said that one should never go to bed angry with your spouse, your significant other. However, the choice of one's spouse is very important. And this story deals with two people who could not have been more opposite than the word opposite itself. There was a very miserly man who coveted money. He loved money above all else. But one day, he met a woman that just grabbed his heart. And he wooed her, and he wooed her, and he wooed her, and I got to get this out of my system. And a woo, woo, woo. Okay, I'm back. And he wooed her, and he wooed her, until finally, I mean, he put lavish gifts upon her. He sent very, very lavish modes of transportation. He built a fine house for she and he to live in. I mean, he in spite of his frugal, miserly ways, he went and spent a lot of money to obtain what he wanted. You see, he would do that. And so finally, after being courted and wooed, she said yes, and they married. And shortly after they married, his frugalness, his miserliness overtook him again. And he became a penny pincher. In fact, he pinched a penny so much it turned into a quarter, but that's another story. And he didn't want to spend money. She had to use all of her charm and wiles to get decent food into the house and to make sure that her clothes were not ragged and tattered. And in spite of all this, she loved him with all her heart. She just couldn't stand his miserly ways, which is proof that sometimes we love people, but we don't like their habits. But that's another story. And then one day, out of nowhere, while they were sitting down having supper, now if you're in the United States and you're from the South, supper is what most people call lunch. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Supper is what most people call dinner. And lunch is what the Southerns called dinner. I think I just confused everybody. It has nothing to do with the story. Anyhow, so they were sitting down and he said, "Wife, when I die, I want you to bury me with all my wealth. Every last penny. I want all of my wealth in the coffin with me." And to his surprise, she said, "Yes, husband, I will do that. I will bury you with all your wealth." Well, word got around. And people like, the way he treats you, you have to beg and use your womanly wiles to get anything that you want, and you're going to bury this man with all of his wealth? What is wrong with you? She said, I love him, and I am a woman of my word. If he should pass before me, I will bury him with all of his wealth. Well, they lived a very long time. But then the inevitable happened. He passed away. Now, despite his frugalness, his penny-pinching ways, he made sure that he had a burial worthy of a young prince or king. And as they lowered the casket in the ground, but just before they closed the lid, the wife said, no, wait. And she approached it, she kissed him one last time, and she put an envelope in his arms. And then he lowered the casket, and they covered it, and she went home. And after waiting a few days, being respectful, her friends began to return and say, tell me you did not bury that man with all of his wealth. What are you going to do? How are you going to survive? She said, no, I am a woman of my word, and I buried him with all his wealth. But how could you do that? She said, I went to the bank, had all the money transferred into my private account, and then I wrote a check for the total amount. And when I bent over the coffin, I put the check in his arms. I am a woman of my word. And so sometimes we have adversities, but if we keep our cool, we find ways of working around it. Asante. It's the first time I've told that story.
Right, so Baba, we have a custom pretty much like that over here, but what you have to do is, for someone that you like very much and is one of your best friends or anything, you get a full bottle of whiskey and you put it in the coffin just before it's buried. And all I said to my best friend was, do you mind if I filter it through a kidney first?
I like that.
Right, so we're going to go to Roisin next. Right, then Paul, if you were looking to tell a story, would you put your hand up? Right, so you go after Roisin, okay? Right, so we go to Roisin and was it Adam? And she doesn't look like Wallace.
Changed now, I'm Roisin. Despina changed it for me. Right. Well, the story I'm going to tell, it came to my mind a week or two ago at the beginning of all this nonsense in the Middle East. And 2009, I joined a group of storytellers that were gathering at Emerson College in Surrey in England. And we were all going to go and work in the Holy Land. We were going to work with Israelis and Palestinians, looking at storytelling as a pathway to peace. Unfortunately, you will have spotted that we didn't win. It hasn't happened yet, but we made little differences to a lot of people. And the man who was running that course was an Israeli man called Roy Gallor. And the story that he shared with me has stayed with me. And for some reason, at the moment, it feels very relevant. And Roy was back in Israel, and he'd got a lot of Bedouin friends, a lot of Palestinian friends. And he apparently had just been going out to get a takeaway. And it was at the time when it was one of these occasions when the Israelis had gone into the West Bank and there'd been terrible things happening and all sorts of people had got involved. And of course, the news was on and they announced one of these attacks as this Israeli guy is standing there waiting for his takeaway. And the Palestinian guys looked at him and it was very tense. And he did what any storyteller would do. He started telling them a story. And this is the one I'd like to share with you. Long ago, there were two little mice, and they were foraging around looking for food. They were scuttling round houses, round the bins, wherever they could, looking for food. They were really hungry. And lo and behold, both of them happened to come round the side of a bin at the same time. And there was a chunk of cheese. And it smelled delicious. And these little mice, they leapt on the cheese and they looked at each other. One of them said, oh, sorry, I think you'll find that's my cheese. And the other one said, well, no, I think you'll find it's my cheese. I got it first. The other one said, well, I think I did. And they said, well, we could agree to come to some compromise. But what would the compromise be? Well, just then, round the corner, walked a fox. "Hello, my dear little mice, what is your problem?" And they explained about the cheese and how they both thought they had a right to it and they weren't sure what to do. And the fox, he said, "Well, it's simple. You share it. Allow me. I can cut it up." And the fox took one of his great sharp claws, drew it across the lump of cheese. But he didn't make it equal 2 lumps. There was a big lump and a smaller lump. And the mice said, "Well, that's not fair. We can't share that equally." "No, sorry about that. I'll just take the little bit for myself, get rid of that, and I'll split the other piece." And the mice reluctantly agreed, but the fox, he ate the piece of cheese, wiped his whiskers, got his claw, and drew it through the cheese again. But again, he didn't make 2 equal pieces. He made a larger bit and a smaller bit. And the mice said, "Well, that's no good." And he went, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Look, I'll just tidy up this little bit and I'll split the other bit." And for a 3rd time, he went through it. And one was a tiny slither and one was not much bigger. And the mice said, "Well, there's hardly any left, but you still haven't done it evenly." And he went, "No, do you know what? I've got a better idea." And quick as a flash, the fox snuffled the cheese and snap, snap, hit both the mice. And apparently, after Roy had told that story in that Palestinian takeaway, the Palestinian man looked at Roy, the Israeli, and said, "That's us, isn't it? We're the mice." I can't help thinking of that story when I see some of the disgusting images of all sorts of things that are going off in the Middle East right now. So I hope you enjoyed that story. It's one that stayed with me a lot. Beware of foxes.
Thanks, Roisin. It's always a pleasure. It always is. Right, so we've got a batting order. So we're going to go Paul, Jill, Despina, and Abita. And then I think we're probably getting to the end, the close there. If as long as Jill's okay in the USA. So we go to Paul next, and then to Jill. It must be like 4 o'clock in the morning where you are, Jill, but still. So Paul from Cumbria. Which part of Cumbria, Paul?
I'm in Rydal, which is just outside Ambleside, so right in the centre, and I'm bringing you tales of Cumbrian weather tonight. We have wind. We have a lot of wind, and it's been blowing hard across the lake about 200 yards from where I live today with white horses upon it. But in Cumbria, we have the only wind in Great Britain that has its own name. I know there are names like the Ghibli and the Sirocco, and we have the Helm wind in Cumbria. And it's so cool because the way it blows the cloud, you know the Helm is coming because there's a bank of cloud above the hill. And then if you see that, you better watch out because it's a fast one and it's going to race down the hillside and blow you away. So we have our famous Helm wind, and it's well known in March particularly. And I'm going to give you a tale tonight of the wind and the sun, because just today we have had both of them playing with each other, and we've been 1 hour of this, 1 hour of the other, and threw in some rainbows as well. So it's been rainy. We've had almost all 4 seasons in a day, which is very generous of the weather. But this is a tale of the sun and the wind. And one day, just like today, the sun and the wind are talking with each other. And the sun and the wind banter away, just like Babasi and Baden. And the wind says, "I am the greatest. There is no question about this. I am the greatest." And the sun said, more gently, "Well, how are you going to prove that to me?" And the wind said, "Well, I can blow your house down. I can make tornadoes. I can blow things away." To which the sun replied, "Well, you can, but that's a very strong, harsh thing to do. What else can you do?" Well, and the wind replied, "Well, I'm not always, the bully, I can blow ships across the ocean." To which the sun said, "Yes, you can. You are truly a powerful wind that does some good. And I too am powerful. I can dry up lakes, I can make the pavement so hot that not maybe on a day like today in March, but many a day, I can heat that pavement, you can pop an egg on it, crack that egg, and you can cook it on the pavement. What else can you do, wind? And the wind replied, well, I'm well capable of good things too, you know. I can blow those wind turbines off the coast of Cumbria, and I can create energy and power and light up homes. So you see, I'm not just the bully, am I? To which the sun replied, well, I too can beam down, and I can heat those solar panels, and I can light people's homes too. They'd reached a stalemate. And at this point, the wind said, right, well, we're going to prove it. On this March day in Cumbria, we're going to prove who is the greatest. And they saw a walker walking down by the lake with his coat on, roughly around him. And the wind said, right, it's my turn first. So the wind began to blow, blowing softly at first and just tickling the man's whiskers and tickling him away, but making him feel that little bit cooler. So he hunched the coat around him. The wind blew again, or maybe a woo or a whoo, like the Babasee's wooer, and the wooing stronger. And the guy pulled the coat even closer by him, and at this point pulled the zipper up too. The wind thinks, I'm not getting there. I'm going to blow strong, and I'm going to blow cold, and blew so cold that it turned the rain itself into snow and hail, and this lashed against the traveler. And the competition was, of course, to get that traveler to take his coat off. Was this working from the wind? It was not. The traveler pulled the hood up and walked on, and still would not take off his coat. The wind blew and blew and said, I'll make him take it off, and blew until the guy was almost flat, almost blown flat, but still the cloak was there. And the wind finally, exhausted, blew out of wind, and that was the end. To which point the sun replied, well, I think I can take his, can make him take his coat off, you know, and prove which of us is the greatest. And so the sun, ever so gently, began to beam and smile down. And the traveler, relaxed at last. He could stand up straight. He wasn't being blown flat, and he was feeling some warmth on his face. He walked on. The sun beamed even stronger, and the traveler began to feel really comfortable. He took the zip down and smiled even more. The wind looked on as the sun beamed yet more strongly, and as through the clouds, and finally the traveler was feeling really warm and decided, it's time. I'm going to take this coat off, and I'm going to sit down and have a rest after being blown over by the wind. And so the traveler did, took the coat off and sat down in the sunshine, looking down on the lake, and smiled. And the sun smiled, and the wind smiled and said, yes, you win, you are the greatest. And this can happen on any day in Cumbria. I tell you, you have these battles between you. And so what it really goes to show is that sometimes bluster and force aren't the way to win a problem or to win an argument, but patience and gentleness will get you there in the end.
Whoa!
The lesson for us all, I think. So.
Whoa! Paul, I know some ancient versions, some African versions, some Asian versions of that story, but yours is the first contemporary version I've heard, the modern version I've heard. I take my kufi off to you, sir.
Oh. Thank you, sir.
Yes, well, thank you, Paul, for the story from the Cumbrian Mountains, or the Lake District. I was at college at Penrith for a while, a long time ago, so it's part of my old stomping ground.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to hear the voices. We do this bi-weekly, so in 2 weeks' time we'll be back again. So if you care to come along,
thank you.
It's a great place to meet new people from all over the world and share stories left, right, and centre. Okay. So we go to Despina, and then Avita. So Sue from South Africa, put your hand up if you're telling a story tonight, or It's sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Okay, thank you very much. Baden, I did see you. Okay, so Despina.
I'm going to Despina, who's extremely happy right now because she just booked her Marrakesh flight. Ooh. Hi. Well, I was thinking of sharing a story with you today. I told yesterday with Amy and Jason at Super Great Kids, and the kids loved it. So you will be reminded of another very well-known tale. However, there are some very basic differences, you'll see. Once upon a time, there was a very beautiful girl called Margot. But as beautiful as Margot was, so was she poor. She was an orphan. She had no father, no mother to take care of her, so she raised herself. She learned how to fend for herself. She did not have any particular skills. What she could do was go into the forest and gather any sticks and small branches and anything she could find, take it back to the bazaar, to the market, and sell it to the rich houses that needed wood for their fireplaces. And thus she could make a living, put some food on her table. One day, as she was selling her wood, she saw a very elaborately dressed gentleman approaching, and he started calling out to the people, "Hear ye, hear ye!" And as he did, a great big crowd gathered, and the city crier unrolled this long piece of paper and started reading out of it. "With this royal decree, we announce a contest. All girls of eligible age are to present themselves to the palace court tomorrow, where they will take place in a spinning contest. The best spinner among them will become the prince's wife." And with that, he was off. There was this huge excitement across the crowd, and Margot could see the girls and their mamas going shopping and going home to practice their skills. And she cursed her luck because she did not know how to spin. She did not have a mother to teach her. She made her way back into the woods to find some consolation there, away from all the happy crowds. And she would kick rocks on her way, and she would curse her luck, and she found herself in a clearing. She sat at the root of a tree, and she started sobbing and whining and cursing her luck that made her so poor. And before she saw anything, she first heard this "Cuckoo" from somewhere behind her, but she paid it no heed. She was so disillusioned. But then, from across the streets at the other side, she saw a black thing simmer behind them, and out of those trees came this very black rooster. He had a black beak and a black head and black wings and black feathers that ended in black chicken legs with black claws into the ground. "Margot, sweet Margot, poor Margot, why are you crying?" "Oh, what can I tell you now, my sweet rooster? I'm crying because there's to be a competition among all the girls of my age, and I cannot take part. I don't know how to spin. Oh, if only I knew how to spin. If only I could spin fine thread, then I might have a chance of becoming the prince's wife and save myself from this miserable life I'm leading." "Margot, sweet Margot, I see you have a thing for the prince, don't you? What if I told you that I could help you? Not just take part, but win." "You could? Oh dear, how would that be possible?" "You see, sweet Margot, I have this magic hand spindle. If you put thread on it, if you put any kind of material, if you put wool, if you put flax, no matter what it is, you don't have to do anything. It just spins by itself and produces the finest thread. With this hand spindle, you have a good chance of winning." "Oh yes, please give it to me. I'll do anything." Well, I don't ask for much, sweet Margot. I will give it to you, and you will take part in the contest, but in a year's time, I'll come visit. And the only thing I ask of you is to remember my name. If you don't remember my name, Margot, I will have your heart. That is my term. Do you agree? Sure, yes, anything. Just give me the hand spindle, please. And he did. She took it, and she started hopping away, singing, Wait, Margot. Yes? Aren't you forgetting something? I am? Don't you want to know what my name is? But yes, of course, yes. What is your name? I have a very peculiar, very special name. My name is Miss Tuletto, the Black Rooster of the Forest. Surely, such a pretty name you will not forget, right? Oh, how could I ever forget you, my benefactor? Thank you. And she was off next morning, before the dawn, before any sun rose in the sky. In the dark night, still she was out there in the palace court with her hand spindle waiting. And soon, a big array of girls at both sides filled the place, and they all had their hand spindles with them, and they were given flax. And back in the palace, the prince was whining to his mother, Oh, Mum, do I really need to get married? Oh, hush now, of course you do. You are of age. I will find you the best spinner. When I got married to your father, I was the best spinner of my generation. Nobody could compete with me. I produced the finest thread. Surely I will find you an equally skilled spinner that will become your wife. But, Mum, what if she's, not good looking? Oh, shush, my child. We'll find somebody that will be suitable for you. You'll see. Come along now. And so she came out of the palace, the queen in front, the prince behind her, and all their aristocratic entourage behind them. And they went from one girl to the next, and some of them could not spin very well. Some others had some skills, but when the queen would try the thread in her hands, it would easily snap. So she moved on to the next one and to the next one. And when she approached Margot, the sun was well high up in the sky now, and the thread that Margot produced was floating in the air and glistening in the sunlight as if it were silk. And the queen widened her eyes and she went to the girl, Stop spinning! And she did. And she took that thread, and it was as light as a feather, and she wrapped it around her fingers, and she tried to snap it, but it would not snap. This is the finest thread I've ever seen. It's nearly as good as mine. Well, actually, it was better, but now she was the queen. She wouldn't say that. Tell me, girl, what is your name? Oh, Your Majesty, my name is Margot. Margot, I think we have a winner. There's no need for this contest to carry on. And she's not good, bad looking, is she now, son? No, mother. She's very good looking. So, there you had it. That same evening, this huge ceremony took place, and they say that the wedding party lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, and everybody rejoiced with them. They feasted, they danced, they sang. And you wouldn't expect it from people of such different social classes, but it was a good match. They seemed to grow in love with one another. And some time passed when Margot felt something moving inside her, and she realized she was with child. And in the due time, she gave birth to the most beautiful baby, and she thought she couldn't be happier. She had left that miserable life behind her, and now she had her silks and her velvets and her jewelry and her husband who loved her and the most beautiful baby. But actually, her luck was not at an end yet, because a little while later, that old sickly king died, departed this world, and the prince, her husband, became the king, and she became queen at his side. There was not a cloud in the horizon of their happiness until one night, as she was sleeping in her bed next to her baby's cradle, there came a tick, tick, tick on her window. And she woke up, and curiously she went there and opened it up, and there he was. There he was, the black bird, black as the night, and with his very peculiar eyes that were all black, but they looked as if they were burning charcoals, looked at her and he said, "Margot, sweet Margot, Queen Margot, I have come for your debt. Tell me, Margot, do you remember my name?" "My sweet bird, of course, all this I owe to you. If it weren't for you, I would have nothing. Of course I remember your name is Mulistedo, isn't it?" Mulistedo? No, Margot, that is not my name. Is your name Henry? No, Margot, it is not. Is your name Paul? Mike? No, Margot, that is not my name. And remember our deal. We have agreed that if you cannot remember my name, I will have your heart. Oh, Lord, I'm sure it will come back to me. You know what? I am rich now. If I can't remember your name, I have a lot of money. I have gold coins I can give you. I am not interested in money. Well, if it's not money you want, what if I build you? I have my workers build for you this golden chicken coop, and instead of nails, there will be diamonds. What do you think? I am not interested in gold or diamonds. You see, me and my 7 sons can only satisfy our hunger with the hearts of ungrateful royalty, Margot. But I do not wish you to take me for a very strict bird. I'll give you another chance, Margot. I will come back tomorrow. By tomorrow, you will need to remember your name, or it is your heart I'm having. And with that, he turned on his heels and was off into the black night, same darkness as his soul. And Margot closed the window, and she went back to bed, and she scratched her head, and she rubbed her chin, but try as she might, she could not remember. You know how it is sometimes when you try too much, it doesn't come back to you. Well, she couldn't sleep that night. She was restless throughout the day, and the next night she had that tipping sound on her window, and she went there. Margot, sweet Margot, Queen Margot, have you remembered my name? I have tried, my dear bird. What can I tell you? I did try as hard as I could, but is your name Baden by any chance? No, Margot, that is not my name. Is your name John? No, Margot. Is it Lorenzo? No, Margot, it is not my name. But if you do not wish to give me your heart, how about you give me your husband's heart? That is another royal heart. My husband? Oh dear, how can you even suggest that? I love my husband. No, you cannot have his heart. Margot, I will come back tomorrow. This will be your last chance. If you do not recall my name by tomorrow, I will have a royal heart. And he was gone. Now the girl spent another sleepless night, crying and sobbing on her bed. And by the morning, when her husband met her, she had dark circles underneath her eyes, and her eyes were red because she had been rubbing them. What is the matter, dear? Oh, nothing. I didn't sleep very well. What could she say? She could not admit that she had tricked her way into his life, into her place, into the palace. If she started talking about the bird, she'd have to tell him everything, and she could not do that. I had some nightmares last night. I have not slept very well. Well, all right. Listen, I'm going on a hunting trip, but upon my return, get some sleep in the meantime. But because when I return, I wish us to dine together. And he was off to his trip. And she had servants bring her lists of names, English names, French names, Italian names, but she tried them all and nothing clicked, nothing sounded right. Just wasn't right. She was at her wits' end by the time her husband returned. And he returned very joyful from his hunting trip. And he says, "Wife, come, let us dine together." "Oh, please, husband, I'm not in the mood. Please spare me. Not tonight." "I said we would dine together, and dine together we shall. Come with me. Let us sit on the table." And they did sit down, and the most wonderful food was brought in front of them, but she would not touch it, not even a grain of rice. Let me tell you what happened during my hunting trip, and surely this will improve your mood. Listen. I was after my prey, galloping upon my horse, when I distanced myself from everybody else and lost the prey. And then I found myself in a part of the woods I had never been before. And there was this clearing. And in that clearing, I saw the most peculiar sight you can imagine. There was this very black bird who was sharpening his beak on a piece of wood, singing, and by his side 7 smaller roosters, all sharpening their little beaks on several pieces of wood, and they were all singing. They were singing such a funny song. It has stuck to me. I cannot get it out of my mind. Look, I'll share it with you. If the lady could remember, if her memory would work, we would all grow very hungry, but my name she can't recall. Mistuleto, 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 Mistuleto. Now tell me, wife, doesn't that story improve your mood? Oh, husband, I cannot tell you what good you've done me. And she grabbed his hand and she kissed it. And after that, they had a good feast at dinner. They both enjoyed it. And then at night, she waited for the tipping sound that, sure enough, soon came upon her window. And she opened up the window, and there was he, Margot, sweet Margot, Queen Margot. Have you remembered my name? I tried, my sweet bird, but try as I might, I could not. Tell me, is there no other way out of it? Well, if you do not wish to give me your heart, and you do not wish to give me your husband's heart, why don't you give me your baby's heart? Surely you and your husband can make another baby. What do you say, Margot? My baby? How dare you even suggest such a thing? Of course I will not give you my baby. Well then, what is my name? And let me tell you now, it is not Alonso, and it is not Howard, and it is not Alessandro. Then perchance your name might be Mistuleto, the evil black cockerel of the forest. How could you? He had steam coming out of his ears and steam coming out of his nostrils, and there he was, leaving her window, flying into the night as only that very magical black cockerel could, into the woods. And she saw him because he was glimmering in the moonlight as he was making his way into the woods. And then she stood there and watched. And sure enough, in the deep, dark forest, out came a puff, a large explosion, and then puff, 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 puff. Have you been counting? 7 more lesser explosions, one after another, and Margot closed that window, and now she knew that she and her husband and their baby would be safe. And they lived happily ever after. But Greeks say we lived even better.
Oh, thank you so much, Despina. That was lovely. Well done. And I hope you had a good time with Amy and Jason. They're fine people and they're good fun to be out with. Right, so we're going to go to Jill. Now, here we go. Surrogates?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't have a story, but
Oh, well, that's fine because don't know about that, Jill, tonight because
yeah,
we're
so
running
I
short of time.
pass. Thank you.
Oh,
Next
well,
time.
you're doing me a real favour tonight. Thank you very much. So in a fortnight's time, I'll be back doing this again. I will be in Northern Ireland with Liz Weir, who's the famous storyteller from over there. So I've got to go and see her about some other stuff. So I'll be doing it from her barn over in Ballymena. So
Mike.
I hope you come back and I hope you bring a story. And if you don't, we always encourage listeners to come anyway.
No,
So that's
I would love to. Thank you.
Mike,
so
I
I'm
have
going to
a
go
quick,
to
a
I'm
quick
going to go
question.
to Evita, and then Evita, you might well be the last one, but Baden, I know you're there, and I know you'll do me a really short one to finish off if I need to. Okay, so
Mike,
now
I have a real
Evita,
quick question. Why is it
go
called a
on,
fortnight? Why is it called a fortnight?
because it's 2 nights, it's 2 weeks.
That
It's,
tells the
it goes
American
back.
nothing.
No, a fortnight goes back to the old languages.
So
That's
fort
where it
meant
comes
2?
from. Yeah, no, it's 14.
Ah, okay.
It'd
Okay.
be where it comes from, but I'll have to look at it. Okay.
That's
Okay,
what
so
I
I'm
wanted
going
to
to
know.
go to Evita.
Hello, my dear friend. My soul aches. And this story is for John, for being John, and for Roisin, who's just planted a little seed, because there have been thoughts floating around between Marrakesh and Switzerland and the whole wide world. So I'm just going to free ride here and put them into a little story. Thank you, Roisin. Thank you, John, for being John. Follow me. Come with me to a beautiful great forest in which there stood a magnificent tree. And in that magnificent tree there lived all manner of birds. Birds, I'm telling you, that you've never seen before. They were plump. They were well fed because life was very good on that magnificent tree. There was always food. There were always grubs and moths. There were even grains for those who were so inclined. So good was life on the magnificent tree that they didn't have to do much. Young birds did not have to move out of their nests. No, there was just another nest built next to their branch. And they prospered. Were they happy birds? I'm not sure. Those birds had one desire. That desire was for more and better, to be living in the sacred tree. Now, the sacred tree was close to the magnificent tree, with a very straight, beautiful trunk and a canopy that reached the heavens. And you know, those birds had one aim. They wanted to attain a nesting place on the sacred tree. How would they do that? Well, they were visited by exotic birds called guru guru birds. Guru, 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 they would chant. You must think of good things. You must see the light. You must have compassion for yourself first. And you must chant in unison and harmony. You must flap your wings to a higher frequency. And the birds did. The guru guru birds would teach them how to do it. For that, they would be given the best food, the fattest grubs, and the biggest moths. And then they would depart. Now, so it was. The birds would sing in unison, they would chant, and they would flap their wings. Of course, they were birds. They would hatch young. And every now and then, the young would become fledglings. And every time, the fledglings would be taken around by auntie birds to see the world and to learn to fly properly to the right frequency. So this day, the auntie birds with the guardian crows said to the little birds, "Are you ready, young ones? Spread your wings and follow me. 1, 2, 3." And off they flew. Not too badly, I must say. They flew and flew, but it so happened that a gust of wind came. And the inexperienced birds, some of them, lost their rhythm, and they began to tumble down, down, down. And just in time, the guardian birds got them onto the lowest branch. And I'm telling you, some of the little birds looked down, and what they saw was destruction. There were nests that were torn apart. There were predators with sharp, long teeth and glowing eyes. The birds looked skinny, their feathers ruffled, and on some of the feathers that were not attached to any birds, there was blood. It was a horrible sight, but quickly, the guardian crows gathered the birds, flapped their wings and made wind to carry them back up home. Now, one little bird could not forget what she'd seen, so she went over to her parents and told them. "Oh dear," they said, do not worry about that. This does not concern us. We have it good here. Let's all chant together." Little Bird chanted, but her heart was not in it. She went to talk to some of the other little birds who had also looked down, and they too said, "This is not right." So they gathered together on the most important branch of the tree and walked back and forth. "Have you heard? Have you heard? Let's help the other birds. Let's help the other birds." Well, I tell you, the guardian crows would not have a bar of it, and they were banned from marching on that branch. They could not bring shame to their family. "But mother," said the little bird, "there were other birds. All they wanted to come up to our tree and share our branches. We can't just leave." "You will do no such thing. You will think no such thoughts," the mother said. "We must all vibe higher." And they all began to chant some more and to frequent their little wings. The time came, once a year, when the Council of Eagles would come to see who could move up a level on the magnificent tree. There they were, with their great big wings, which they folded. Everybody bowed their heads. "Flock," said the oldest of the elder eagles, "have you chanted?" "We have," they said in unison. "Flock, have you vibed higher?" "We have," and they all began to flap their wings, and there was a beautiful hum. "Birds, have you thought positive things?" "Yes," they cried ecstatically. "Have you seen the light?" "Yes," they sighed. Has anyone thought dark thoughts or looked at darkness? "No." "Yes," came a little voice. Everybody became silent. Was there a yes? Did you hear it? Whoever said yes, hop forward. Little Bird, her heart nearly bursting out of fright, hopped forward and said, It was me." Big elder eagles stared at Little Bird. "So you have seen darkness?" "I have." "So you've been down there?" I have. How many times? Every day. Just to share some food. That blood on your chest. She quickly tried to cover it, but it was too late. That blood on your chest, is that your own? No, said the little bird. She looked around at her parents, at her flock. She looked for reassurance, but they had all turned their head. They wanted no part of this. So this is not your blood. It is not. Go, sit over on that twig and wait. Now, said Eagle, flock, are you ready to fly? The sacred sign. We are, they said. So off you fly. First they flapped their wings slowly, then faster and faster, until the air was full of a beautiful harmonious sigh, and then they took off and they soared and began to fly. The sacred sign. But suddenly they began to spiral, down, 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 because they could only use one wing. In the last moment, they managed to scramble onto a branch. Darkness came, clouds, closer and closer, and it became as dark as night. Now, said Eagle, now, little bird, you fly the sacred sign. Little bird, shaking, spread her little wings, and in that darkest of darknesses, she began to fly the sacred sign. And in her wake, there was a light, a beautiful light. It shone brighter and brighter. She flew higher and higher. Sit, little bird, Eagle said. Now, my flock of birds, this little bird is the only one who lived her truth. For you see, you cannot see light without darkness. She is the only one that dared to live her truth. She can choose where she would like to live. The little bird was astonished. She looked over. Her family looked over at her wherever she was going. Hopefully she could take them with them. You choose where you want to sit, Wise Eagle said. But remember, sometimes your choice sends you to a very lonely place. Little bird said yes, spread her wings, and flew to the lowest branch of the tree. And Eagle said, with this choice, you have attained a place whenever you wish in the tree, the sacred tree of eternity. Thank you.
Thank you, Evita. As always, it's a lovely story, well told. That's absolutely lovely. So we've managed to get to 8 o'clock. So Baden, so there's I'm going to ask Baden to finish off with a really short one, which is promised. I'd like to thank you, John Rowe, for as always standing back when I ask you to stand back, so to let other people fall in. Wouldn't it be nice, John, just to be a storyteller again? Not have to do everything else we have to do some days. Veronica, I've been messaged you. I know you're still there. So I'm going to talk to ask Baden to finish us up. And Veronica, if you've got just a second before you go, to Baden and Prince himself, the magical storyteller from London and the Caribbean.
Well, the story that I'm going to tell you is a true story. Please stop laughing, all of you. Right. And it's inspired by Dawn's story about being told a story by somebody that she met in Marrakesh, because this actually happened in Marrakesh. And I have a witness, in fact, 2 witnesses, one of whom is Shane, and the other is Rob Lenny. And what happened was, we went out for a meal one night just off the square, and we were sitting in this cafe, and we ordered some food, and a beggar came along. and asked us to share some of our meal with him. And we had loads and loads of bread. They brought us tons of bread. And so we were sitting having our food, and we handed him a couple of flatbreads that we were eating, and he took them gratefully. And then he started pointing at our bowls and plates where we were sharing meat and chicken. And we thought, well, okay. So, we handed him a couple of bits of meat to fill his bread. And he took them gratefully. And then he took a mouthful and indicated that what we'd given him was a bit too dry, and was pointing again. So we thought, oh, he needs a bit of, so we gave him some gravy to wet the bread and the meat to make it a bit more palatable, which he accepted, and he chewed another mouthful. And then on the table, there were some condiments, some ketchup and some pepper and some other spices. And he started pointing to them, and we were like, okay. So we then started handing him a few condiments to spice up the bread and the meat and the gravy that we'd given him. And he accepted those and he ate them. And then he kind of indicated that he wanted something to wash it down with. And there were some bottles of water on the table and a bottle of Coca-Cola. And we kind of handed him one of the bottles of water, and he declined. He said no, and started pointing at the Coca-Cola. And so we handed him poured some of the Coca-Cola into a glass and handed it to him, and he kind of swigged that down. And then he was, then he still seemed dissatisfied, and he started pointing at he'd eaten all the bread, he'd eaten the meat, he'd swallowed everything down, drunk the Coca-Cola, and then he indicated that he wanted some more. And by now we were getting like a little bit annoyed with him, and we turned and looked at him, and he started pointing at some sweets, some sweetmeats, some sweet treats that were in a case behind where we were sitting. Basically, he wanted dessert. I started thinking, you cheeky beggar. And then we decided to see how far this guy would take it. So we called the waiter over and we said, give him one of those. And he brought and gave him something sweet to eat. I don't know what it was, like some creme brulee or something. And he had that. And then we were like, and then he started pointing, he started making this kind of gesture. Again, it's like he wanted coffee. Having had dinner and dessert, he now wanted coffee to kind of finish it off. But we, really? So we called the waiter over, and he made him a strong coffee, and he gave it to him, and he kind of washed it down, and we thought, is that it? And then he started like stretching his hand as if he wanted some money to tip the waiter with. And at that point, we said, no, right, enough. And I said to Shane and to Rob, nah, this guy is just like a cheeky beggar. Cheekiest beggar I've ever seen in my life. And that is a true story that happened to me in a cafe in Marrakesh, the encounter with the cheeky beggar.
Well, Baden, that's a lovely story and it's well told. I thought the last line was going to be, Baba, you've had enough.
I thought he was going to say the same thing. I thought he was going to say the same thing.
Even Baba's not that cheeky.
No, no, I am not. I am not. Dave,
Look,
that was a wonderful story.
It's a lovely story and well told, and I'm sure you'll be with Sanem and Nicaragua and Rachel and one of the personal storytelling. I'm looking forward to listening and again as you develop it through is their expression. Thank you all for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. I know it's been a slightly different one, Sue, and you've been very patient with us. And John and Mike and Lucy wanted to explain all about the festival and everything else, which was needed to be done and well done by them. So in a fortnight's time, I'll be back. That's 2 weeks, Baba. All right.
In the meantime,
and then I'm going to pass it back to John now, who's going to say what's happening next in the next couple of weeks or so. But as I greet you again in 2 weeks' time, I will be sitting in Ballymeon with Liz Weir. I hope she's going to be there, sat alongside me. So over back to John, and thank you very much.
What's coming up is Friday is World Storytelling Day, and our Friday teller is none other than the magnificent Bubba C. No comments from you, baby. And then at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, we're having another story round. Evita, what is the title of this story round? Bringing on the light or something?
Keep the light burning.
Keep the light burning. I knew light was in there. Light, keep the light burning.
And then after that?
And then and that's at 10 o'clock in the morning. And of course, then Mike and Lucy will be back again for that because we're hoping to get people from Australia and the Far East and India on that one, on the story round. And then at 12:30, we've got Niharikaza, and I always pronounce that wrong because I lose a syllable in the middle because I've lost a few teeth. Personal story round, and that's at 12:30. So Saturday is a really busy day on the cafe. Meanwhile, thank you all. And Mike, I'm going back to you. It's been a brilliant night. Thank you, everyone.
Right, so I'm going to finish out. If you happen to be in Much Wenlock on Saturday, that's Much Wenlock in Shropshire, which is halfway up the English-Welsh border on the English side. We've got a bookstall on our local corn exchange. Those of you who have been to Wenlock, you'll know where it is, where we're selling local books from the local authors, and we're doing a bit in the pottery and stuff like that. That rounds off the festival for this year, and we've already started on the festival for next year. I couldn't do this unless people like you came and told stories and enjoyed the community that we're all in and everything else. So thank you very much for being here. See you in a fortnight's time, 2 weeks' time, where I'll be sat in the north of Ireland with Liz Weir, and I will have a Guinness in one hand, but I might have it under the table while it can join the other 7 that I'm intending to drink while I'm over. Good night to you all. And Veronica, I hope you're still there. I hope all is fine. Good night to you all. Good night to you all.
Night all.
Have a drink for me.
Night all.
Absolutely. Okay, I will.
Veronica, see you Tuesday evening.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Mike, a quick question: Have you saved the daylight yet?
So I'm still here, Sue. What can I do for you?
Have you saved the daylight yet, or are we still in a 2-hour time difference?
No, we haven't. We don't move until 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Although we lose on the last day of the Sunday, 2 weeks from now. So we'll have changed just on that. It's a Saturday night, Sunday morning here. Okay. All right, mate. It's lovely to see you here.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah.
Fade and feel well soon. I
See you
enjoyed
soon,
the
man.
story.
Thank you. Take care, guys.